A lot of executives think they know what they need, but business isn't done how it used to be. And so it's important to take signals from the market and adapt to those versus trying to force legacy processes back onto the market. I think one of the biggest ones is that there's a heavy scrutiny on spend right now. The economy, I would call it the global economy, is not really that certain. So a lot of people are, as we end the year, they're being very protective over investing. Demonstrating that return on investment has never been more important in my career than it has been right now. You think you need content, but why do you think you need that? Well, nobody knows we exist. Make sure our fundamentals and differentiation and positioning are outlined before we start blasting content into the internet. Do you understand why somebody would choose you over your direct competitor? Have you done competitive analyses?
Hello and welcome to the Auto Intel podcast, the show where we dive deep into the challenges and opportunities shaping the world of engineering and software. So each episode we sit down with the business leaders, innovators, and decision makers to uncover the strategies and insights driving growth and transformation in today's digital economy. Today I have Adam Kimmel, who is the founder of Ask Consulting Solutions. Hi Adam, really pleased to have you on the show. Yeah.
Great to be with
How,
you.
yeah, Adam, why don't you start with telling about your journey and how you came to start Ask Consulting Solutions?
Yeah, I think the easiest place to start is with my earliest background, which I was an engineer by degree. So I have a degree in chemical and mechanical engineering. And so for much of my career, I sat in a cube calculating, sizing heat exchangers and HVAC systems. So I came to a decision point where I thought, all right, well, do I want to just try to go the fellow engineer route and sit here and calculate for the next 20 years, or go and try to help businesses with growth? And so what I ended up deciding was the latter part of that. And I had, in the journey, I had developed about 10 to 12 patents, and I would be asked to summarize what I had invented for the patent attorneys and for the business leaders who would have to invest in capital equipment. So I began this content writing journey where I'd have to summarize complicated information for broad audiences. So I started doing content writing and strategy for the company I was with at the time, and then also other companies at a freelance or kind of fractional level. I realized quickly that content strategy was an important offer, so I started doing that. And in the discovery work, I quickly realized that no one really knew how they were different and why they deserved to be selected by a buyer. So I started doing strategic growth consulting. And so now I work with small and mid-sized manufacturing and engineering companies to kind of help them with why they should be selected by a buyer. And I do that through content and product marketing.
Right. So yeah, that follows up with a question like, yeah, what kind of clients do you typically work with, and is there any your preferred clients or the industries you like to work with?
Yeah. So the verticals that I claim are ones that I've worked in as an engineer. So that's certainly manufacturing, automotive, and clean technology. I've also started working with electronics clients and other just industrial chemical manufacturing and people like this. I've found that the ones that really I can make the biggest difference are from revenues of around 50 to about $500 million. Beyond that, it gets hard for them to have a mechanism to hire me because of all the different processes they use. But we need to have some measure of growth before they're ready to create a framework to customize a growth plan for them. So in addition, I do content writing as kind of the let's frame your point of view, do the SME discovery work, interview the executives and other internal consultants and specialists to get that real clear point of view, and then differentiation from what are they hearing in sales conversations and in trade shows they see. Really carve out in a sharp way why they're different and why they deserve to win, and then we create a cornerstone piece of content and a content strategy for that as kind of the first phase of the growth process. That's the jumping off point, and then from there I engage in different, depending on what the needs are, either product marketing. I can look at their product development roadmap and see where white space might be, technology evaluations and competitive assessments, SWOT type analyses, and other positioning canvas like activities to make sure that we have the fundamentals in place for growth scaling.
Right. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile where you talk about all these companies where they have these different departments. One is like sales, marketing, and the product engineering. How do you manage to take them all together because they are all working in their own silos? And how do you manage to come up with a proper strategy to engage all the teams together and give them the right picture? Like, yeah, this is how it should be. Actually, the product should be marketed, or How do you go about that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's true. Those departments are absolutely siloed, and that is a lot of the issues that we see with that misalignment internally leads to very watered down marketing that doesn't really speak to anything. It's agreed by all these siloed departments because there's nothing to disagree with. There's nothing contrarian or nothing controversial about this. So because I've spent part of my career as a product development engineer, part of it's a marketer and part of it is a business developer on kind of the sales side, I know what each of those divisions is motivated by. And so I think part of the problem with misalignment is marketing is a strategic function and sales tends to be a more transactional function. So the motivations are very different. Strategic functions look 3 to 5 years down the road or more, right?
Mm,
Transactional functions are need to hit quarterly number, so it's
mm,
it's totally different motivations for what they're after, and aligning marketing and sales to say, all right, sales, as you're having your conversations, here's our new product suite, here are some influencers and things that are happening in the marketplace that would inspire a change. We need you delivering this messaging to the customers through these sales conversations as you're working through your quota discussion. Make sure you're feathering in the longer term view. Here's something to look forward to maybe there's a regulatory change coming. So here's how we can help you prepare for that. We're doing business today, but also preparing you for tomorrow. From the product side, the feedback in that conversation needs to get fed back to the product development team. Very often that team is insulated from a lot of customer interaction, and they have perspectives that are developed from legacy points of view from years ago when business was done way differently. So getting that information basically conveyed from marketing to sales to the customer, and then from the customer back to product can kind of help align everything. And then having combined meetings where, the different stakeholder heads agree that, hey, this is the point of view that we've heard and what we think we should do. Let's all align. Like
yeah,
let marketing align with product to say, this is what we think we should do. Do you agree? Versus, different stakeholders, whoever has the loudest voice or the highest title making that decision. It's got to be a combination rooted in customer feedback.
yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point, right? About the customer feedback. You need to know what customer wants, not you're building a product which you think is going to be really good. It's what customer wants is the main driving factor, right? Behind all these products that people are making.
Yeah, I've heard people, especially on the product engineering side, say things like to a customer, we'll tell them what they want. They don't know, we know. And I'm like, I'm pretty
You know
sure
that.
a customer is gonna know what they want. And I think the point to that is maybe they don't realize the root cause of the need or the pain point that they feel. And that's where, from kind of a consultative level, a supplier can kind of help them through that process. You think you need content, but why do you think you need that? Well, nobody knows we exist. Okay, let's make sure our fundamentals and differentiation and positioning are outlined before we start blasting content into the internet. Like, do you understand why somebody would choose you over your direct competitor? Have you done competitive analyses? And
Mm,
oftentimes there's a use case where one company's better and another one where the competitive use case is better. And so one of the things I like to do is to say, let's be honest in our content and say, yeah, here's where we're really not the best solution, but we are over here. And so all the marketing would be positioning around not case A, but case B in that case. So yeah, it's really something that's kind of a little bit of a mind shift because a lot of executives think they know what they need, but business isn't done how it used to be. And so it's important to take signals from the market and adapt to those versus trying to force legacy processes back onto the market.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I mean, like you do so much of marketing side of things. I'm curious, like how do you go and find your clients right now? Like how do you what's your strategy of finding new clients?
That's always the biggest question. And I think when companies are in growth mode, that's the part they give the least thought to, but that's the most important, right?
Yeah,
I think it's important to note that, there's different ways to do it. Of course, there's referrals, which a lot of people use, and word of mouth, going to networking events. I mean, I think we've maybe in the last 5 years or so over indexed on inbound, trying to use websites and SEO and these types of mechanisms to do that. With AI, the amount of content for inbound's sake is really getting diluted and drowned out. I don't love that as a channel, and I've seen it not work as effectively. I do love content for just what we talked about before, right? Crafting and really framing
the
the
writing.
positioning and differentiation. So I do think there's still an ability to have, you need a website with content to frame your point of view, and you will get inbound from that. Networking events is another one. I think another one is just more fundamental business development type activities. So going out and prospecting either via LinkedIn, or reaching out to ideal clients, and LinkedIn's been a great mechanism for me to do that, where, I'll try to connect with people that are my ideal clients, or even industry peers, engage on their content. So the industry peers have been a good referral network. But the ideal client, that's a way that you can demonstrate your expertise for free so that they can gain credibility, so that when they reach out to you, they know who you are, they know what your point of view is,
Right.
and they're warm. They're warm. You're not just someone out of the blue. Yeah. But engaging on the content first. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're reaching out from LinkedIn, like to your ideal customer, do you get a response from them, or like is it how do you engage in a conversation with those guys? Like if you're reaching out to someone from LinkedIn.
Yeah. What I don't love are spray and pray type processes where you can try to automate this or use AI. It doesn't, for what I do, which is very niche. Anybody that would be a decision maker, so a director or VP, is going to want to know that you've actually looked at their business and understand it. So I do research on them. I'll look at some of their past posts, see what they're talking about, see what themes are top of mind. And if I have a comment or experience based on that, I'll just DM them, and as the invite message, say, hey, I really liked your post on this. I have some experience here. Here's my point of view on it. Would you be open for a conversation to see if we might work together, or to talk more about this, or something like that, in a very non-threatening way? Like, you absolutely do not want to pitch first, and to try to do those things. It's all about relationships, demonstrating expertise, and adding value. Give away a ton of value for free, and that boosts credibility. Then all of a sudden, it's an even, right? When they talk to you, they feel like it's an even exchange versus you just asking for something.
Right. So yeah, you build that relationship first before you go and pitch. Yeah, you want to do this, or do you want to work
Yeah,
together with it? It's just
and it takes
yeah.
a long time. There's no
It's not.
shortcut for it, right?
It's a slow process. It's not like yeah, in day one you'll be like, oh, I'll be working with them.
It is, but like any investment, there's a compound effect from that, because you'll build these champions within companies, and sometimes those people switch companies and jobs, so they remember you. So then when they get a new role, there's a chance to work with another client, or they may move up in their own company and give you more. If they had a positive experience, you can work more together on a bigger project or more projects within a client. So that, doing good work, as strange as this sounds, forming real relationships and doing good work is the best solution and path for gaining new business.
Absolutely. I mean, going on to the next question I wanted to ask was, what is one of the biggest challenge do you face right now in your industry, and what's your solution? How do you overcome that? Like even in trying to grow your business, or any challenges you face right now with some of your clients?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones is that there's a heavy, heavy scrutiny on spend right now. I mean, the economy, I would call it the global economy, is not really that certain. So a lot of people are, as we end the year, they're being very protective over investing. Demonstrating that return on investment has never been more important in my career than it has been right now, I think. And that includes the Great Recession timing. I mean, that show me the value kind of thing is really, really
Yeah, give me
critical.
the
And so,
return on investment.
yeah, yeah, and I think it's important to kind of acknowledge where, for a given segment, not all segments are created equal. Healthcare is growing right now, whereas we see, I don't know, clean tech is struggling a little bit. So it ebbs and flows based on geopolitical factors and economic factors, and other things. Sometimes the weather can impact supply chain. Who knows, right? There's all kind of things. But in a moment where people are scrutinizing spend, if I'm a growth consultant, how could I help them grow? Well, you can also grow through profitability, meaning cost savings, process improvements, process efficiencies, design changes for reduced costs. So there are a lot of ways to do it. And it's all about framing your offer and your expertise in a way that's most impactful for where your clients are at whatever moment you're talking to them.
It's, going on, what's your goal now for the next 6 to 12 months? Where do you want to take us consulting solutions now? What's your
Yeah,
target?
I mean, I love the segments that I serve. Manufacturing, especially U.S. manufacturing, is really a point of emphasis. This made in the USA idea is really becoming important to a lot of people. I think I see so many companies that struggle with positioning and with really identifying the differentiation. that's becoming my passion point. I want to help every company figure out why they exist. Every company in my segment, at least. So the more times I do that, the more fulfilling it is for me. And so then the client results take care of themselves at that point. But I think it's so critical that companies challenge themselves and ask themselves that question. And my skill set's somewhat unique, having a hand in sales and marketing and product. So I'm kind of uniquely suited to help them do that. And so that's yeah, I'm just looking to grow and do it more.
Are you looking to grow, or like how many clients do you usually like work at a given point in time?
No, I mean, I found that I'm most effective when I can have a deep engagement with a smallish number of clients. So 4 to 5. I work with
Actually,
4 to 5 right now at any given moment. And it ebbs and flows based on projects, right? But I would like to get that to about 8 to 10, just for myself. I'm a solo right now with a lot of support. I have graphic support and some other functions, operations, and things that I use. Ideally, I would have a few people, that could help me do the delivery work, so I could just do more on the business development and prospecting and things like that. But yeah, yeah. So that's the goal. I would like to roughly double. There's line of sight to doing that. I think I've gotten a lot of good signals on this growth idea and connecting product to sales. I mean, these two are way far apart, and using marketing as the through line. I don't know. That's
yeah.
been a win, right? And people like that.
So, what's one of the advice you would like to give to the audience who's listening right now? If they are like starting off a new business, or they're just going on to this journey, what is one good advice you would like to give to the audience to start their own business?
Anybody starting off at either as a solo founder or a group of founders, sit around a table and challenge each other for why you should exist. What led to the idea, and why do you deserve for someone to pay you for what you do? It's a simple question and a very difficult one to answer. And so I think before you get too far along, it's important to figure out, well, how am I going to tell somebody about this in a way that makes them feel urgent around solving the problem they have with our solution? And if you start there at that alignment piece, then I think you can build the company around protecting that alignment, make sure they're speaking the same language from the jump. And then as you grow, come back and do those kind of summits every quarter or so to make sure that as business and the economy and the landscape and the market changes, that alignment still is maintained and is strong.
All right. Thank you so much, Adam. Yeah, that was really nice talking to you. Thank you for being on the show.